Hello and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, we'll hear how Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Kanitra led a team to Ukraine to support relief efforts. We'll also learn how one family turned their tragedy into an organization to save newborns. But first, Jersey Mike's has become a sandwich staple all across the Garden State and beyond. Founded at the Jersey Shore, a single storefront has transformed into over 2,000 locations nationwide. Joining us now to talk about how they're giving back to communities around them is Caroline Jones, Senior Vice President. Welcome, Caroline.
Hi, thank you for having me today.
I just wish that we were doing this interview in person at one of your Jersey Shore locations over a mini number 10 sub.
Yes, the tuna fish is one of my favorites as well.
Yes, it's absolutely divine. But on that note, can you walk us through Jersey Mike's history?
Sure. So my father, Peter Cancro, started working in the 1970s when he was 14 years old at a local sub shop called Mike's Subs. It was located in Point Pleasant Beach. It's still there today, but now known as Jersey Mike's Subs. Actually, the year I was born in '87, he decided to franchise. And since Mike's Subs or anything around, a singular name would be too common, they decided, since it's Jersey roots, to name it Jersey Mike's Subs. So that's really the history of how it started. He had bought a local sub shop and decided, they wanted to bring it nationwide. And it's taken a very long time to get to where we are today. But it's been a very fun journey to be a part of my whole life and to see it grow over the years.
Jersey Mike's is all over the country. Mm-hmm. New Jersey has a reputation, mostly unfair. When
Yes.
People outside of the state hear Jersey Mike's, what do they think? What's that conversation like?
I mean, we just bring the speed everywhere. We bring it to the South when we're making your subs. And, because everyone is known for being more polite down there, we'll bring a little bit of our grit, right? But I think you have to also understand there's a lot of New Jersey transplants. A lot of people move to California. They're so excited to get a taste of home. We hear that all over the country. And so we're able to bring it to them and be a part of their story.
How was it for you growing up around sub stores your entire life?
I say that the oil and vinegar runs through my veins as well as my siblings. We had to work in the original store once we turned 14, and have worked in many facets of the business over the years to understand and learn how it is to operate a sub shop as well as operate a franchise.
What are some lessons that you've learned along the way?
I think it's really understanding that the most valuable individuals in the store are the ones that are behind the counter, the ones that are making the subs, the ones that are interacting with our customers, and to value them and help raise them up so that they continue to want to work there, but also grow within the company. We have some really amazing stories of individuals that have become owner operators over the years.
Do you have a favorite success story you would like to share?
I think really it's pretty moving because I didn't even know about it. It was sort of just kind of sprung out of just, from my father's heart when it happened. A few years back, we had our manager of the year, Kiana Isaacson, who worked in the Southern California area at our national meeting, won the award for manager of the year. And when she went up on stage, my father ended up gifting her a franchise. So she now has her own store and is partners with the franchise owner that originally she was the manager for. So it's a pretty neat story. And that was just kind of the beginning of that phase of that starting to happen, where managers realized that one day they could become that owner.
Wow, what a gift that was. And I know that giving back is such a big part of the Jersey Mike's mission. Can you tell us about your community initiatives?
Sure. So one of our biggest ones that our customers have come to know and expect that we do each year is our annual month of giving. We do this every March. How it started was around 12 years ago, we had a franchise owner and area director, Dalton Stewart, in Dallas, Texas, do a fundraiser all month long for a local charity there called Wipe Out Kids Cancer. And when Peter had heard about this story, he was like, I remember him saying, "This is what we always do. I love that Dalton's doing this. We need to take this nationwide." So it started the birth of our month of giving, where all the franchisees, whether they're all in Atlanta, all in New Jersey, all in New York, they all pick a local charity that they support together. And really what that means is they donate 100% of their sales one day in March, which we call our Day of Giving, to the local charity. So it's grown over the years. It's the numbers that we raised today. We didn't even think we were going to hit those numbers. And this year we did the Special Olympics and we did a nationwide program. We realized that we had the power to do it. Our franchisees were behind it since we partnered with them about 4 years ago to do it this year for their USA games. And we were able to raise $20 million for them. And when we met with them, we told them 10, and this was 4 years ago. So the fact that we were able to raise 10 million more than we initially thought we could is incredible. It's really just a testament to how much our customers are a part of that giving. They know that when they come and buy that sub that day, they are it's all going to charity. We don't keep a cent, give it all away. And it's really become a fun day in our franchise.
Well, I can attest to that. How I even got the idea of having you come on the show, I went to Jersey Mike's on your Day of Giving, March 30th. The line was out the door. I could not believe it. It took like an hour to get my sandwich, but everybody was there to support the Special Olympics and you. And I just thought it was so beautiful all the way around.
Mm-hmm. And it was really neat because one of our top 5 stores in sales for that day was in Sparta, New Jersey. And so it's still one of the Jersey stores bringing in, the most customers coming in that day. So that was pretty neat. In partnership with the Special Olympics, so their national games are in June of this year, but they do a torch run just like they do for the regular Olympics. And that starts in Chicago, and they're going to stop in Point Pleasant Beach on May 24th. And they're going to do a little run along the boardwalk and end up at the football field of the local high school. So it's going to be pretty neat seeing the torch and the torch runners that are specifically chosen to be a part of that. I know the local law enforcement's really involved and escorts them the entire way through these multiple cities. It's a grueling schedule for them, but it's going to be really, really neat to see.
I want to end on where people can find more about you, Jersey Mike's, how to support, maybe even own a franchise.
Really, just go into your local store and talk to the franchise owner or the manager that's there. They're the best advocates for our brand, because if they're happy with the business model, they're happy with the lifestyle that they've chosen to own a sub shop, then that's the best advocate for our brand that I could speak to. And any story, go into anyone and talk to them. That would be what I would say.
Well, Caroline, this was so much fun. Thank you so much. We hope to meet in person soon, like I said, over that number 10 mini. And keep up the good work and spreading that Jersey name nationwide. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All over the world, people are witnessing the tragedies happening in Ukraine and are trying to find ways to help those in need. Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Kanitra recently led a trip to Ukraine to support those affected, and he is joining us now to share all about his journey. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here, Lisa Marie.
Well, you are so brave to have gone over there. Please share your story and update us as to what you saw.
Well, it was an incredible trip, and it's crazy to believe that it's been over a month now since we returned. Obviously, we went in the very early days after Russia's unprovoked aggressions against Ukraine. About a week after that, we started seeing the refugees fleeing the areas that were really the hardest hit in the eastern and southern parts of the country. Most of them were flowing through the Polish border. And at that point, for a couple of various different factors, namely my own heritage, my previous trip to Ukraine and Point Pleasant Beach's connection with the Ukrainian people, in that generations of Eastern Europeans have come here, worked on our rides and on our boardwalk attractions, and helped contribute to making Point Pleasant Beach the great place that everybody knows. For all those factors, just decided with 24 hours notice to buy a plane ticket and go over there. And to say it was a surreal experience would probably be an understatement. We flew into Warsaw, then we connected into Krakow, and then we had a 4.5 hour drive to the border in Rebekah. And once we arrived, it was kind of like the wild west. Things were not very organized. The refugee center had just been stood up in an abandoned old Tesco supermarket, which is kind of like a Walmart. The border crossing had, a bunch of makeshift tents and different efforts ongoing there, but, trash can fires everywhere, disorganization, and, just kind of overwhelming numbers of people and overwhelming amount of need that we were lucky to be able to jump in and help with.
So once you were there and you got your bearings, how did you get to work? So
we knew that we didn't know what we didn't know, right? So we went over there kind of prepared to handle anything. We rented a big commercial cargo van. We reached out to some of the charities that we knew had some operations on the ground. We brought 5 suitcases of supplies with us. We brought a ton of money with us as well. We jumped in various different ways. We worked alongside World Central Kitchen, which is one of the groups that's going to benefit from our most recent fundraising efforts. We set up our own tables and handed out supplies and did shopping runs every single day to get sleeping bags and mattress pads and surge protectors and kids' toys. And a host of warm gloves and shoes and socks and things like that. And then in addition to that, we went through the refugee center itself, found out what their needs were. We helped shuttle refugees to and from the border to the refugee center. We handed out hot meals at the border. We helped prepare food. We kind of were jacks of all trades. And during the process, we vetted a lot of organizations too, so that we could come back and tell people here in New Jersey how they could help. So you came back and you felt that you had to do even more. With your big splashy concert that you had in Point Pleasant Beach, tell us about its success. So that's exactly what we were hoping for it to be. I was driving back to the Krakow airport, and we were already pretty emotional leaving the situation behind. And we'd probably helped over 1,000 people while we were there in that 1 week time frame. But it's a drop in the bucket compared to the millions that have been displaced, the millions that have come through the Polish border and are resettling there and elsewhere in Europe. And we wanted to figure out, how can we keep this going? How can we open it up so that all the good citizens of Point Pleasant Beach and the Jersey Shore in New Jersey could help and get involved as well? And I had some friends reach out to me who knew Bobby Bandera, famous Jersey Shore musician, and he said he'd be willing to play pro bono and get his friends to come out. And, we said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it big. We went to Jenkinson's. We asked them if they would be okay hosting it. They didn't hesitate. We set a pretty hefty ticket price of $60. We got really ambitious with the sponsorships, and all in, we raised about $200,000, which is a real statement from the Jersey Shore, saying how much we care and is going to make a real impact over there once we distribute it here in a couple of weeks. Unbelievable stuff. I just cannot believe one idea what you were able to turn it into. It's really beautiful, and a testament to you and your good heart and how much you care not only about your community but all of the communities around the world. Well, thank you so much. It's good to be global citizens, and we have the ability to do that now with the internet and social media and sometimes cheap airfare, right? And it's just great to see how much all of New Jersey cares. How can people watching that maybe aren't near Point Pleasant Beach, although we're all going to be ascending to you, all the, what do we call it, the bennies? We're going to be all be ascending to you in just a few weeks. But how can people watching support you and your cause with Ukraine? Well, the 2 charities that we're donating the lion's share of our fundraiser to are World Central Kitchen, They are not only operating at every border site in Poland, but they're operating throughout Ukraine as well. In fact, one of their kitchens just was bombed the other day in Kharkiv, which is the second largest city in Ukraine. And they're already rebuilding because their efforts are really important in kind of the war-torn, war-ravaged areas of Ukraine where a lot of people are going underground, aren't able to do shopping, aren't able to do a lot of things. So, just hard dollars, cash donations to them will make a difference. There's not a lot of administrative costs with them. They're pretty streamlined as an organization. Any dollars will go towards food and logistics supplies. And then Caritas Poland is the other charity that we've decided to try and help as much as possible. I think anybody who goes onto their website and sees what they're doing with the orphans, helping to pay for buses to bring orphans out of some of the difficult areas in Ukraine and resettle them across Europe. Again, more pulling of the heartstrings, and people can kind of pick which one works best for them. But we vetted them and we feel really strongly about both.
Well, thank you for doing that legwork, because I know, people get hesitant about donating to certain charities because, especially when new situations pop up like this, they don't know who is legit or not, but you've done that homework. Well, where can people find out more about you and all of your adventures?
So my Mayor Paul Kanitra Facebook page, we try and post as much as we can about the Ukrainian situation, about all the great stuff that's happening here in Point Pleasant Beach. And like you said, that summer season is fast approaching. We've got a ton of great events, from the offshore boat race, the offshore Grand Prix. There's a Memorial Day kickoff concert. We have town bonfires, Memorial Day bike parades, band shell concerts, and everything in between. So if people follow us online, they'll find a lot of good ways to have fun when they're down here at the shore.
Thank you, Mayor, so much.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
The Our Baby Foundation was created to provide newborn babies with proper medical care and life-saving treatment. Phillis and Andrew Rabinowitz started the organization after losing their daughter in 2006. Phillis Rabinowitz joins us now. Phillis, before we learn about this wonderful organization, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I have a 14-month-old daughter, so when I came across your story, this definitely hit home. How did you parlay such a tragedy into the Our Baby Foundation?
Well, I think to understand how we did it, maybe I can share with you the story of what happened, because a lot of what we do is kind of what went wrong, unfortunately, with my daughter. So back in 2006, my husband and I, Andrew, we had our daughter, Rebekah, and she was, born healthy, and she was released from the hospital. We brought her home. And unfortunately, the next day, she had very alarming symptoms. She was congested and wheezing, and she wasn't feeding very well. So we rushed her to the emergency room. We just knew there was something wrong, those maternal or parental instincts. And unfortunately, when we went to the ER, they said, oh, it's just a common cold. We know it when we see it, and you should go home. And of course, being hopeful new parents, we wanted to believe it. We tried to plead and ask for help, but just because something's kind of wrong, but they're the experts, and they said go home. And so unfortunately, the next day, she was having a sepsis attack, and we had to rush back to the emergency room, and unfortunately, she passed away that day. So we later learned that she had an enteroviral infection, which can be life-threatening in babies because babies don't have the immune system yet. So we also learned that many emergency rooms actually aren't prepared for children and babies, and a lot of parents don't know this. So we founded Our Baby Foundation because of this tragedy, because we believe it's preventable, because we have researched in the medical community, and a lot of parents may not be aware, but unfortunately, not all ERs are created equal. And there's varying degrees of pediatric training, pediatric supplies, pediatric equipment. So Our Baby was born, literally named after both my daughter R for Rebekah, but also to help all of our babies get the best possible healthcare, because we want, no matter what emergency room you go to, you should be able to get the best possible healthcare. And so when we started the organization and we had a medical board, some of our leading doctors would say, even if a baby was presented with a cold at our hospital, they would have been readmitted. So there was already some varying protocols, and we just wanted to make that change and make sure that every baby and child can get the best possible healthcare.
You have so much to be proud of that you were able to overcome and pour your emotions into such a wonderful cause. How do you get the word out there and talk about the people that you've helped along the way?
I mean, definitely our objective is raising both awareness and funds for pediatric emergency care. So for awareness, we have done huge events. We've done 1,000 people events. We've done small events. We've done advertising campaigns, both in Times Square and online. We've done lots of social media stuff. So we have a huge, advertising campaign, and that's how we try to get the word out, including, parent education. As far as raising funds, that's how we've done it in the past, is through events and sponsorships and donors and people wanting to sponsor their own ER, or doing kid events, or, people hearing about us online and wanting to help out. So, we kind of run the gambit and get support from all over. We're so grateful for our supporters. We've raised $13 million to date. Our goal is $16 million for our 16th year. She would have been 16. So this is our Sweet 16 fundraising campaign. And we're motivated to continue to raise funds to invest in children's hospitals that then train non-children's hospitals. So a lot of our programs are benefiting thousands of doctors and hospitals by partnering through children's hospitals. So whether that's telemedicine or simulation training, our children's hospital partners are amazing, and that's directly where our funds go.
When you go out there and fundraise and share your story, I'm sure parents that you meet have so many questions. What advice do you give to parents for when they bring home their newborn? What are some of the signs that they should be looking for?
Right. Well, first of all, listen to your gut. So parents definitely know best. And when you do have a concern, don't wait, especially for infants, because every minute matters. And when you go for help, whether that's an emergency room or your pediatrician or wherever that is, you can ask for a second opinion. You can ask for a triple opinion. You should never leave until you're fully comfortable with your gut and how you feel. So advocating for your child is crucial. We also tell people to research your emergency room the same way you would research your child's school or pediatrician. You should research your emergency room. We actually have an app called Find ER Now that we partner with Mass General Hospital. And there's a pediatric version that can tell parents the closest hospital fully prepared for their child. So it's all about research and advocacy and listening to your gut.
Now, what happened to Rebekah, is that something that now they test for upon discharge?
So one of the things we actually invested in is rapid viral detection. So some hospitals, yes, do have viral testing that they do in emergency rooms if they're showing symptoms. So, and other training that we do is checklists and protocols of what to look for if a baby, because babies actually show symptoms differently than older children. So I think because my daughter did not have a fever, she was actually treated differently. But the training we put in place actually, has a checklist. If they have other things, then you should be readmitting and giving supportive care. So I think that things have changed, and I'm very optimistic about the future of pediatric emergency care. I think the world of the pediatric emergency physicians out there, I think it still continues to be underfunded, and I think they do everything they can to advocate for children, but unfortunately children can't advocate for themselves. So we all need to look out for them.
So you mentioned that this is your Sweet 16 year, and you have an event coming up to commemorate that. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, well, we've done very large in-person events in the past, but given the pandemic and still where COVID is, it doesn't feel right to do a large event, given that we focus on viruses in children. So our Sweet 16 fundraising campaign is virtual, and we're doing lots of stuff online to promote it. And we will be having a smaller event in New York City with a virtual Sweet 16 celebration for all to attend. ourbabyfoundation.org is our website, and you can find out all about us there.
Well, it was such a pleasure meeting you. I wish we met under better circumstances, but we'll bump into each other now in Route 10 and our Route 10 journeys.
I know we will, and I appreciate this time. I think the only other thing I wanted to add is that we do impact probably over 1 million children's healthcare a year. But one of the things that we are most proud of is the life-saving stories that we have, because we genuinely have doctors that come to us and say, if we didn't have your training, I don't know if I would have been able to save this child. And recently we actually had a doctor say, you know, a child came in with sepsis, and because of your checklist, because of your protocols, I believe I was more competent and confident to treat this child. And so life-saving stories like that is what Our Baby's about, and which is why we need all the support we can get.
Phyllis, thank you so much for coming on and spreading the news about Our Baby Foundation. I know it's not an easy story to tell, but I'm happy you chose here to tell it.
Thank you, Lisa, so much for having us and supporting Our Baby.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.